Relief tonight among residents living in a South Omaha neighborhood after an eyesore and health hazard was removed. Mike McKnight first uncovered the problem in the area last year. And in a 6 on Your Side investigation follow-up, he shows us what's being done to eliminate the neighbors' concerns.
Tossing old tires on his own land last year, Tristan Scorpio claimed it's part of fill material to support his dream of building disabled veteran housing. But the dumping only built up neighbors' frustration that they voiced to their city councilman.
Mosquitoes, fire, rodents, rats, the whole 9 yards. It's just a bad deal.
Convicted of a weeds and litter violation,
are you going to clean up the property?
Tristan Scorpio received a $50 fine.
The judge didn't order him to clean it up, but the city can't allow a health hazard and a safety hazard to perpetuate.
For 2 days, city crews have been clearing debris from the vacant lots at the bottom of the dead-end street, the most cluttered property owned by Scorpio. City equipment removed branches and wood pallets. Then finally, dozens of old, worn tires.
Well, the city's done great. They came up here. They had guys down the hill there tying ropes around tires so they could drag them up here.
The cost to taxpayers for the cleanup, including dump fees, totals more than $2,800. A major expense in the cleanup are the illegally dumped tires. It costs the city about $6 a piece to have them recycled. But neighbors say this rubber needed to hit the road.
We got less mosquitoes, you got less rats, you got less danger of something catching on fire.
And Councilman Hugg says he has a plan to prevent future dumping on the property.
I will be talking to the legal department to see what action they can take to make sure nobody does this again and nobody puts anything here unless they have an approved building plan.
Neighbors say they're grateful the city stepped up to scoop up the mess.
I think we got it under control though now.
So they no longer feel down in the dumps about the look of their neighborhood. On Your Side, near 9th and Castelar, Mike McKnight, 6 News.
The property owner will be sent the $2,800 bill for the city cleanup, and if not paid, liens can be slapped on the lots. Tristan Scorpio has not responded to several emails for comment.